What is happening, guys? It's your buddy Aaron. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys so much for joining in today. Got something pretty exciting for you. Your boy Aaron over here, who's used to the Japanese type of car lifestyle, twin turbo, boosting his G35, building the motor, all that good stuff, building everything that has to do with that car in this little one car garage, is now going to be building an American LS 6.0 liter LQ4 that goes in my good old GMC 2500 2006. Let's get it. It's a heavy duty SLT right there, boy. So we haven't had the greatest luck building our VQ engines. We've had to pull it out of our car so many times just because of the errors that a novice person who has never gone to school or done any of this doesn't even. I don't claim to be a mechanic. I've worked in the business as a service advisor for like 6 years, but I've never been a mechanic. I love to do it as a hobby, do it out of my garage, and just see what I can do. What am I capable of with the resources that I have? And the resources being just forums, YouTube, mechanical guides, and honestly all the people that I work with who are technicians. I can ask them for their tools if I need to borrow them, or just for advice on the job and what I should do. And that basically just kind of helped me become the person that I am right now, who's willing to take on an LS build. I've already disassembled this LQ4 LS 6.0 liter that originally came out of this truck. Now, I purchased this truck with a knocking engine. I got a killer deal on it, and the engine was knocking. So I already knew I was either gonna have to fix it or change the engine. So we went ahead and picked up a nice little used engine, 96,000 miles. This is the same thing. LQ4 came out of a Chevy Silverado 2500, same year, 2006. That's a GMC 2500, 2006. Same thing, right? So it came out, and it lasted me 4 months, and unfortunately the warranty on the engine is only 3 months. So anyway, I do a lot of work up in Port St. Lucie, which is about an hour and a half from where I live right now. I live more down South Florida, and the truck, once I got off the highway on my way back from Port St. Lucie, I heard that thing knocking like crazy. So pretty sure famous rod knock is what is going on with this engine right now, and that's basically what happened with this one. Well, I don't think it was rod knock. I think it was more crankshaft bearing knock, because the bearings didn't look too good. Even on the rods on the insides, they looked pretty cooked, like it was starved of oil. There's a lot of oil gunk build up inside of these camshaft bearing journals and everything. So I went ahead and cleaned the entire motor, and I am ready for a full rebuild. As you guys can see, don't mind the paint. I do a lot of paint on the side, okay? Don't worry about that. But as you guys can see over here, I've got a ton of parts to rebuild this LS V8. And honestly, guys, I'm really excited. Tearing that thing down made me realize how easy it is versus the VQs. Like, VQs are just stupid difficult. I mean, they sound amazing. They make great power. It's a total new car now that's boosted. But just building, like, you got 3 timing chains. You got like 6 sprockets. Like, dude, chill. This thing, you got 2 sprockets, 1 tiny chain, you set the timing, you got 1 cam, install the cam, put the heads on, bada bing, bada boom. So I think we're gonna have a little bit more luck this time, first time around building this engine, hopefully. Knock on the cardboard. But anyway, guys, we purchased our full engine rebuild kit from DNJ. As you guys can see, we got our oil pump, we got the timing chain kit, we got the piston rings, we got the crankshaft bearings, we got the connecting rod bearings, we even have camshaft bearings. We've got the new pistons, we got refurbished connecting rods that came out of a known good LS. We've got all the tools that we need, like the piston ring compressor, and we even bought the camshaft bearing remover tool. We got a new tensioner for the. We got like new gaskets, we got a whole bunch of, GM freaking head studs, and just a bunch of stuff. Like, I'm ready. We even got an engine honing tool so we can hone our engine. And then we got all of our old stuff in here, things that we're gonna reuse. I brought the original crankshaft over to a machine shop, Cylinder Head Depot. They do amazing work. They have actually machined the heads on the G35, and they did an amazing job. I had them double check the crank, all the clearances and everything. They said your crank is fine, we'll polish it up for you, we'll clean it up, and you gotta use a standard size bearings, which is easy. And we're gonna go with a nice stock rebuild, try to get this truck running good, and hopefully not knocking in another 4 months. But yeah, I want to get a nice reliable truck, maybe take it on some trips. First thing that we got to do is replace these camshaft bearings. That's these guys right here, which actually don't look too hot. Looks like they got starved of oil. Maybe they cooked and baked up a little bit. Yeah, we got to remove these guys. So we got a whole tool that we got to remove it. We're going to place it on these pallets, and we're going to start whacking at it. And yeah, replacing those bearings. Let's get it. Check it out, guys. So that's how we pressed out our camshaft bearings. So we're gonna go ahead and remove all of them and then go ahead and replace them basically with the same method, just reversing. Instead of pushing one out, we're gonna be pushing one in. All right, guys, so I ended up having to bring the block over to Cylinder Head Depot machine shop so that they can install the cam bearings for me. The cheap tool that I got did not suffice. It was actually damaging the bearings. I had to order new bearings and whatnot. But either way, I'm gonna leave that up to the professionals. They're gonna clean the whole block, they're gonna install the cam bearings for me, and we're gonna be doing everything else. So we're gonna pick up the block soon here, but before we do that, we've got 7 pistons right here that we've already installed our piston rings onto. So I'm about to show you guys the 8th one we're gonna install the bearings on right now. Alright, so all piston rings basically come in 3 different bags. You got your expander rings with the oil rings, you got your second rings and your first rings. So we're gonna go ahead and unbox our piston here. This is the DNJ pistons we're going to be using with our entire DNJ rebuild kit. So go ahead and set that right here. There's going to be a mark on here to tell us where the front is. So we got a little divot right here, tells us that's the front. So we'll set that here to the left. First thing we'll do is take our expander ring. These are really easy to install, just be very careful. Go ahead and take this first end, go ahead and put it on the very bottom groove of the piston, and we'll very carefully just start wrapping it around the piston until that is in place. You don't want it to overlap on the front here. You want it to just go ahead and connect and touch end to end. We'll make sure that opening is basically at the back, facing the back of the engine. So where the expander ring opens, that's on the back. We got 2 oil rings to install. One goes on the bottom of the expander ring and one goes on the top of it. So first one we're going to install is the bottom. We've got to clock these rings so that the openings are all in different locations. So we're going to be clocking this oil ring with the opening right here on this side. So I will start by installing it right here. Some people clock after they install it. I clock it before I install it so I don't have to do it afterwards. Alright, so we've got the one end of the ring in, and we just have to follow it around the piston, making sure not to scratch the piston, and watch it fall in place. So it's all gently tucking underneath. Now we got to be careful, make sure that the expander ring doesn't overlap. I'll push that in, kind of hold it with my finger. I lift the oil ring up and around the piston so it doesn't scratch it, and boom, that's set in place underneath the expander ring. So we'll take our other oil ring. This one we want to clock over here in the bottom right section, and this is going to go on the top of the expander ring. So put one end in there, start by holding this end up and guiding it around. Real slow. Careful not to damage the piston. And now that is in place. Now everything is clocked, so I don't have to go ahead and mess with it and turn it. It's already clocked because of the way I installed it. Now we have our second ring that's going to be in the second groove here, so that's going to be next. We're going to use our piston ring expander right here. This is our tool. Just go ahead and set it inside, and this will help us expand it and bring it around. Expand it just wide enough. You don't want to go too far, and you don't want to damage the piston either. So you want it the perfect length. Bring it down to that second groove, and then we can close it. We got that piston ring installed. We'll go ahead and put our first ring inside of our tool, install this one, and then we will clock it to be in the upper left portion of the piston. And there we have it. We just put our rings on the pistons. Now we can put our connecting rods together, and then we'll go pick up our blocks, start assembling everything. Check it out, guys. We got 7 of our pistons and rods all connected in the correct orientation, ready to go. We've got the 8th one over here laid out on the table. I'm about to show you guys how to connect the connecting rod. Alright guys, so over here on the table we have our brand new piston, we have our refurbished GM connecting rod. This was actually refurbished by a machine shop. Everything's been polished and double checked. All the clearances are good for standard bearing sizes. We've got some Permatex Ultra Slick engine assembly lube that we're going to be using to install our floating pins. Luckily these are not press fit pins, these are floating retaining pins, making it extremely easy to install them. If we had to do press fit, we might need a torch to heat up the end here, and only a couple seconds allows you to put these in before it shrinks again and clamps down. But luckily we don't have to worry about that, real easy to assemble these. So we're going to take our pistons. There's a little dowel engraved in the piston letting us know that that is going to be towards the front of the motor. So I'm going to go ahead and flip that upside down now since we're working on the back of the piston. A lot of people say that these LS connecting rods can be used in both orientations, this way or this way. A lot of people say use this dowel mark towards the front and whatnot. I'm going based off of the all data instructions. Whichever side of the connecting rod has the groove here that is a little offset, Then the other side, that is the side that faces towards the front. That'll leave our dowel or nipple right here kind of facing towards the back of the engine. So we're going to be installing it just like this. We have the front of our piston right here with the dowel on the piston side. So you can see the dowel pin right here. That's going to be in the front facing that way. We got this one facing that way. And we're basically just going to go ahead and lube everything up. Alright guys, everything is lubed up and ready to go. So we'll take our connecting rod and we're just going to seat it in the middle of the piston here. We'll go ahead and slide in our floating pin. And we're just going to send it through nice and easy like that, and we'll put it all the way till it's just about at the end where we're gonna have to put in our retainer clips here. Hard to see, but there's a little seat on the inside for these little retaining clips, so I'm gonna show you guys how to get those installed. Thankfully I've already done it on 7 of the Pistons already, so I got a little bit of experience, but it was pretty rough. I was kind of smashing up my finger in the beginning, getting a little frustrated, but basically I put this side of the retaining clip towards the top of the piston, making it a little bit easier for me to grab this side, and there's some little grooves inside of the piston here that allows space for our tool to fit in there and work the clip in place. So I'm going to go ahead and press it in. I put one side in first, so I'll slip the back in there like that, kind of hold it with my thumb in place. I'll take my pliers on the other side here, hold it down with my thumb, and I'll work this end around. And then once I got it mostly in place, I'll just press down and you'll hear it click into its seat. And there it goes. So that was one side. I'll go ahead and make sure that the seat, the opening part of the retainer clip is towards the top of the piston. So I just orientate that like that. And we'll flip it around to the other side. And there it goes, right into place. Alright guys, that was our 8th piston. Everything is assembled, ready to go. Just want to double check our ring orientation, make sure that the rings are in the right place before we put it in the motor. So now we got to move on to the process of honing the motor so that the cylinder walls are perfect to allow, damn. So now we're going to move on to the honing process of rebuilding the engine. We're going to go ahead and clean up those cylinder walls so that they can seat these pistons nice and good. You know what I'm saying? Alright dudes, so we got our engine block back from the machine shop over at Cylinder Head Depot. Shout out to Steve for hooking it up. They installed our new camshaft bearings because we just simply can't do it without the right proper tool. We bought a tool and everything, but it was really cheap, and yeah, it didn't do the job because it wasn't machined correctly. So anyway, cam bearings are really difficult to do anyway, so had the machine shop do that. So we got it on the engine stand here, and we're going to get ready to, well, we've already done all the cylinders, but we're going to start honing. So I'm going to show you guys what the honing process is like. Right now the cylinders are all nice and clean because I just honed the entire block. I want to go back over it one more time just to get any other little areas that I may have missed. So anything like that, if we got a little dark area right there, I want it to all be smoothened out with the rest of the cylinder. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Alright guys, so check it out. This is our engine honing tool. It's like a drill attachment, so we got attached to our air drill right here. Basically you just want to go in at a medium speed, like that. And you want to move it in and out of the cylinder so that you can make sort of like a 45-degree angle overlap. Alright guys, check it out. So we've got all of these cylinders honed. They're looking pretty good, nice and shiny. All of the surfaces are flat and ready for the pistons to be installed. We just want to go ahead and lube up the cylinder walls a little bit just so, you know, keeps it good and lubricated. Alright guys, so now it's finally time to install our camshaft and our crankshaft. We're going to do the camshaft first. This way it's a little bit easier to kind of fit our hands in here and help guide it through all of the bearings. And we're going to use some assembly lube to lube up these bearings here, the camshaft bearings. Alright guys, we got the camshaft installed. Now it is time for the crankshaft. So we're going to start with the crankshaft bearings. Alright, it is ready for our crankshaft now. Crankshaft was cleaned, checked, and polished by the machine shop. Just gotta be real careful dropping this thing in. Okay, it should move freely. Woo! Get that thing out. Get the assembly lube all up in there. Wow, sweet. Yeah, so they checked clearances and everything. They polished it up, made sure everything was perfect. Same thing with the block, and yeah, this is the stock crank. Since everything checked out good for standard size bearings, we're gonna be reusing it because we're kind of on a budget here. So we just bought that DNJ rebuild kit for the pistons and rods because that's pretty much what went with oil starvation on this motor. So we got it all cleaned up. All the oil passageways and everything have been freed of all that gunk and whatnot. The block wasn't messed up in the rod knob that this thing had. So we're changing the rods and the pistons like you guys saw, and we're keeping the crankshaft and camshaft factory. Alright, so now we can go ahead and lay down our main caps. We got 1 through 5, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So we're gonna go ahead and put the thrust one in first, and then we'll go ahead and number them 1 through 5. Follow the torque sequence. We're going to start with the inner bolts, 15 pounds. The sequence I'll put up on the screen here for you guys. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Alright guys, now we got to set the thrust of our crank. So we're going to just pretty much hit it with the rubber mallet in the front and then in the back, and we'll leave it shifted in the forward position before we proceed to tighten the rest of these down. So we'll give it a couple good whacks. Alright, so here's where things get interesting. We're going to need a angle. We're going to need like a torque angle tool, but we don't have that. So we're going to use our phone with a compass attached to our tool. As you can see, the degrees are super accurate. So yeah, so we're going to go 80 degrees after the 15 foot-pounds of torque. We're going to go 80 degrees in that same sequence. So it says we're at 159 degrees. So if we add, let's see, if we're going this way, yeah, it's going to add. So 159, we got to add 80. That'll be 240. So we're going to turn it until it's at 240 degrees. Boom, right there. So that was 80 degrees torque. So now the outside ones get 15 foot-pounds. And now they're going to get 51 degrees of angle torque. Yeah, we got FedEx here bringing us some more parts. Check it out, guys. So we got our crank. We were able to rotate it nice and easy, real free. We got our dial indicator set up, and we are within spec for all of the crankshafts. What's up, man? How you doing? Rock Auto coming in clutch. So we are all in spec as far as the crankshaft thrust. Just wanted to double check that real quick. Alright guys, we're going to be reusing these side bolts here for the crankshaft caps. The factory ones come with a little bit of sealer on them. Since I'm reusing them, I just went ahead and put some RTV on there. Just put it around the hat of the bolt like that. 18 foot-pounds torque on all of them, so I'm going to start from the back. So we're going to go ahead and install the pistons now. Alright, bringing it back inside on this poor dinner table. We've got all of our pistons assembled, ready to go. They just need their bearings. So we got our DNJ bearings right here. We'll go ahead and unbox them real quick. And we'll go ahead and load up our pistons with the connecting rod bearings. Make sure there's no dust or dirt on it. And we'll go ahead and do the same thing for the cap. Alright, and there we have it. So we'll go ahead and do that for the rest of the pistons, and we'll go ahead and start to install them. Alright guys, so we are now ready to install our pistons into the block. Alright guys, we got the piston dowel pointing towards the front of the motor. We're going to start back here. Go ahead and just set our piston. I'm going to put our tool right above it. Crank down this tool a little bit, make sure we lift the piston just a tad so we can get it inside the whole tool. Okay, let's go ahead and lift it up a little bit. Alright, we got the whole piston inside. Go ahead and tighten this thing up. Okay, we got it compressed. Now we're going to start lightly tapping on the piston. We'll let it feed into the block. Looks like it's almost in there. Oh shit. Is it in there? Yes, sir! Look at that! Alright, that was my first time ever doing that, ever, on any engine, so that's pretty sweet. Check it out, guys. We just installed all the pistons. We got these things ready to go. It's looking super clean. We just got to go through all the torque specs here on the connecting rods, so we're going to do that right now. So the first thing we're going to do is 15 foot-pounds all the way across, and then we have to do a 75-degree turn torque angle. Alright guys, so most of the hard part is now done with the bottom end of the engine. I'm going to start putting back the whole tray and the lower pan, and then we're going to start working on the timing. Alright guys, so we got timing all set, got the new sprockets installed with the new chain, and let me tell you guys, this is way easier than the VQ. You only got one chain here, two sprockets, two marks to line up, and you're done. Top dead center, you're good. So now we're going to go ahead and put the front cover on, as well as the harmonic balancer, and then we'll do the rear cover right after. So the rear is just a little bit harder to get to. We got to get our hands in and around this stand, but we got our gasket on the cover. Let's go ahead and put it on. Alright, we got the rear cover installed, torqued down. Same thing with the front cover and the harmonic balancer. Mine took a little beating trying to get it off with the, the cheap removal tool. Hopefully it's okay and not going to chew up my belts, but I guess we're going to find out when we get it installed. Front covers are all torqued down and everything, so we're basically ready for the oil pan, so we're going to go ahead and put that on now. We're going to put 4 little dabs of RTV in the corners where the block meets the front and the rear covers. So we're doing 18 foot-pounds on all of these short bolts, and then we're going to be doing 106 inch-pounds on the 2 rear bolts. Alright guys, so now we are installing our brand new lifters. We're just getting them loaded up into our lifter trays here, and we're going to go ahead and set them in place. Just want to make sure everything is lubricated in here. We did dip all of our new lifters inside of a cup of oil, so they are completely soaked. And yeah, I'm just going to drop them in. Alright guys, well, I was fighting with the lifters a little bit. Just had to clean up the surface on the inside, make sure everything was lubed up good, and then they all slid in. We're going to go to 106 inch-pounds on these tray bolts. Alright guys, so we got our blocks, cylinder head surface nice and cleaned up, and same thing on the cylinder head. We're going to go ahead and lay down our gasket. We're going to install our cylinder head. Let's get it. Our 2 guides pressed in already. Got some new GM head bolts. guys, so we are now ready to torque down our heads. We got our gaskets and heads seated in place. We got all the bolts ready. Just gonna go ahead and fasten them down and get ready to begin torquing them. So these bolts are also supposed to be torqued to yield. We're gonna be using the foot-pounds method instead, and we're gonna be doing 15 foot-pounds on all of the main cylinder head bolts. Then we'll be doing another pass of 50 foot-pounds and then another pass of 65 foot-pounds. Just did a pass of 50 foot-pounds on the main cylinder head bolts, and now we're doing 20 foot-pounds on these little side ones here. Back to time. Alright guys, so now we're working on whatever this is, like an oil gallery or something. We got our gasket, just got our, go ahead and wipe off our surface, lay our gasket down, we'll lay down our cap. And we got our two sensors, we'll just go ahead and lay in here. 22 millimeter, we'll screw them in. Alright guys, so now we're on the final step, and that is installing the rocker arms and the push rods. Then all we got to do is put the valve covers on, get this thing ready to put it in the truck. So we've got all of our push rods right here, we're using the old ones. They got two sides, we want to oil them both. We got a little cup right here. Just gonna dip them in, both sides. The side of the push rod with the most wear is gonna be facing upwards towards the rocker arm. In here. I've been busy running my mouth dry, speaking lines of how to find higher hopes and sensibilities meant for me. Let's dive in, create a problem. Alright, all the rocker arms are torqued down. Now we're getting ready to put our valve cover on. Just want to make sure that this surface right here is all clean. Same thing with on the valve cover. Us to fix it, the perfect fit. We're back to time, catching up on all the things we missed, so our interest. Check it out guys, we got our engine completely assembled and we were able to build it pretty much within 2 days. We started on Friday basically getting everything ready, and then Saturday morning I woke up around 8 o'clock and just started going ham on the engine. I worked all day Saturday until like 1 a.m. and then I got a little bit of sleep last night, woke up at 8 this morning, and we're back at it. Now it's 7 p.m. and we finally have the LS 6.0 all assembled and ready to go. This thing is looking sick. There's definitely a lot more weight on this engine stand right now. The only thing that we have to do is drop it and put our flywheel on. We've got our flywheel over here. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on a tire just because the engine stand is in the way of accessing that flywheel. But everything is installed, torqued down. We got our manifolds, we even got our coil packs, spark plugs. Most of the accessories, we did leave the AC inside. As far as the compressor, we didn't release any of that. So that's all still charged in the truck. But yeah, basically all the other accessories ready to rock. Full engine rebuild, full engine reseal, and we're ready to drop it in the truck. What up guys, it is 8 a.m. in the neighborhood on Monday morning, and we are on time to get this thing running. Got it right out front here. I don't want to turn the whole truck around, so I just brought the motor out here instead. Hopefully it doesn't rain on us. Anyways, here we go, we're gonna go ahead and put the motor in.
The people who stand out, the faceless crowd, lost and found, picking up on the speed of sound to faster
love fucking.
Yeah, like a week and a half, dude. I painted this thing and built the motor.
You ain't fucking
It's a whole
around.
brand new truck already.
You ain't fucking around, my boy.
Bro, I need a truck, bro.
Yo,
that was the last time I took out the Port St. Lucie. That transmission is done, bro. Those are fucked. So I need a whip. You know what I'm saying? I got
this bitch is rear wheel drive though too. It's just
bro, I know. And they didn't put the top bell housing bolt, so I don't even have to drop the transmission. I'm just throwing it together. Yeah, not just the side.
nice.
The flywheel and all that shit.
Good shit.
Yeah,
Hell yeah,
man.
boy. I'm gonna be able to go pick up some projects now with the truck, baby. Holla at you in a little bit, my boy.
Have a good
great
day, bro. You too, man. Thank you.
Alright guys, so she is partially in there right now. We just got to go ahead and basically seat it in place. Before I do that, I just want to make sure I get the AC compressor hooked up, and I want to hook up the grounds and everything while they are easy to access still. So I'm going to go ahead and hook up everything like that as far as the harness, and then we'll go ahead and set her in place. Check it out, guys. Here we have a fully rebuilt LS 6.0 LQ4 engine placed in our GMC 2500 HD, my first ever LS. We got everything hooked up: harness, grounds, freaking manifold, starter, oils, and we got our coolant getting ready to be bled right there. We got the battery hooked up. Everything seems okay so far. We are about to have our first start. I'm super nervous, guys. Just how, you know, every first start is. You never really know what's gonna happen. But here we go. I'm pretty sure everything's buttoned down. Let's get her primed up a little bit first. Alright, get that fuel pump going. Nice. Everything's powering up. I'm gonna do a couple key cycles first. Alright. Let's do one more key cycle. Make sure that our fuel is up at the engine before we start turning that starter. Looks like my fuel pressure gauge is off. That's not good, but we're gonna find out. You ready? Oh shit! It fired up. Oh, there goes the fuel pressure. Holy shit, that's what good fuel pressure is supposed to look like. Hell yeah, brother, let's go. Oh shit, dude, she's running. Oh shit! Let's go! She's bopping around a little bit. Doesn't sound too bad. Let that oil get all through the veins, all through the bearings. She did have the assembly lube, so she should be good to go. But wow, that oil pressure is way better. Something's ticking over here. We'll let it warm up. Very first start. Slight lifter tick, which was normal once we changed the motor the first time. Lifter tick was a little normal because they got to get the oil up there and going nice and smooth. I'm sure there's some debris and everything inside of the engine. We're gonna let it warm up. It's gonna start burning off all of our blood and sweat, and make sure it's got some water. Just went ahead and took her on a little test drive, and everything is running super smooth. And now that she's heated up, everything has kind of burnt off, and she is running super smooth, super quiet, no noises. Now hopefully it stays like that. I'm gonna be driving this thing like crazy all over the place because I'm gonna be using it for work, and I'm gonna be using it for all the shenanigans of the G35. So hopefully she stays nice and reliable. Knock on cardboard. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. It has been awesome getting all the work done on this truck, painting it, rebuilding the entire engine, and getting it installed all in a matter of a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. I feel super accomplished. And huge shout out to you guys for watching this video all the way through. Thank you guys for watching the little LS builds. I'm sure there were so many things in this video maybe you guys saw that I was doing wrong, or you guys might have advice on. Any criticism you guys got, let me know down in the comments, or if you got any advice on what I could have done better. I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick oil change on this thing and get all the plastics wrapped up. But if you guys like this video, make sure you guys smash that like button and get this video out there. We are still running some merch on the website. We got some jet tags and some air fresheners. If you guys want to support the dream, go head over to DoubleASupply.com and pick up a couple of those. And we're looking for a new t-shirt design. If you guys design things and you guys want to send me a design for a new
t-shirt, like a DoubleASupply logo or just a new cool car design, I'm going to be picking 2 of your guys' designs to add to the next rollout of shirts for the merch. So just send it over to my email, newmansaaron@gmail.com, or you can DM me at DoubleAG35.